That's it, right? Oh. Hey, what's happening? Welcome to Maych TV. It's a brand new season. It's late. I appreciate that. It's very, very close to the new season starting. Very close indeed. But I'm back. I'm back for a whole new campaign. Yeah, we're going to be talking season predictions. What I think is going to happen this year, largely centered around the Mighty Reds, of course. But obviously, we'll do some other bits and pieces while we're here as well. Am I feeling good? The simple answer about how I'm feeling about Liverpool's chances in particular this season is, yeah, I'm feeling great, really good, like really amazingly positive. And some of that just comes from, the sun's back out, and we're able to have a little bit more social and personal freedoms again. And there's I'm going to be back inside Anfield next week for the Liverpool Burnley game. And I was back last week for one of the friendlies, and it's just good. It just feels good. And Virgil van Dijk's back, and he's got a new contract, and all those things. It feels like Liverpool. It almost feels like we're nearly at a point at which I could take last season, and you can just screw it up in a big ball and chuck it in a bin and let it stay there forever and ever, and it won't have any major impact on this season, other than maybe in some lingering anxiety in a few fans' brains, including my own. Right, we're going to get into it in a second, but I was lucky enough to be invited down to Manchester. Well, not lucky to be invited to Manchester. That was rubbish. I went to Hotel Football, Gary Neville's Overlap fan debate live. I was asked to come along and say a few bits and pieces in that show. So yeah, here's a little clip.
Explain the different sort of way of seeing sort of Michael and Benitez, because Benitez has also gone to Chelsea as well, who were a big rival of Liverpool.
Michael Owen won the title with United, and that's galling to see someone like that go and do that. Now, if Liverpool were in a position where a few years ago where we sacked Kenny Dalglish, but Everton gave Maych a new contract, and they finished very similar in terms of league position and all that. If we got to a position where Rafa Benitez was coming in and he was taking Everton to that next step, somewhere we couldn't go, then I think we'd be raging with that, because we've lost out. We had him. We've got this guy, and Everton have got him, and they're benefiting from him. I think Rafa's a great manager. I really do, and I agree. I think he's a great coach, and I think he'll get better out of the component parts than some of the managers would at Everton. But you've got that sword of Damocles hanging over the head that if ever it goes wrong, the guy who lives next door to you is going to rip the piss out of you big time, because our manager's gone and done that. Agent Rafa, the T-shirts are ready.
Oh, they're ready? Agent Rafa. Don't like you. I know you've got a couple. Can I sign one?
Yeah, most of you will have seen by now Jamie Carragher and Ty having a big go. There was a little bit that ended up on the cutting room floor, which I really enjoyed, that I got involved straight after that conversation. I was gutted, but apparently I've been told, a couple of people said I spoke quite well on the show in general. So yeah, I'm on there, go over there, check it out. Say Maych sent you as well in the comments, drop a like on it and all that good stuff. But the feedback on the show in general has been pretty good. I actually came out with loads more respect for Roy Keane than I thought I would have. I was going to ask a question, Roy, do you like football? And if he said yes, I was going to tell him to tell his face. But he was really funny, to be fair. And Neville's fine, Neville's always fine, and Carr's always brilliant as well. So yeah, and all of my old mates from the Ball Street Network are all in there as well in the audience. So yeah, it was good, it was a really good time. And yeah, go and check out it's a 2-part show that's on his YouTube channel right now, The Overlap, and I'll link to it, but I'll annotate at the end of the video as well. Anyway, right, season predictions, Liverpool. Do I think Liverpool are going to win the league? Let's just talk through first before I decide to completely throw myself to the wolves just yet on that one. Do I think Liverpool are capable of winning the league? Let's start off with that. Yeah, I do. I very much do think they are. In terms of what everyone else is doing around, it's hard to look past Manchester City. It is. And the thing is, and why I'm not like sat here in the corner of the room, curled up in the fetal position, rocking gently back and forth while sobbing softly, is because they've been like that for years. It's no news. Man City have got more money than anyone, like anyone. And they've got a boss manager, and they've got boss players as a result of those things, and they've got all the infrastructure, they've got all kind of things going for the Manchester City. So them going out and spending 100 million on Jack Grealish doesn't make me feel any worse about Liverpool. It doesn't, because let's be honest, they've just had amazing players, or even going back to that silly early Thaksin Shinawatra period when they bought players who weren't like really that good. They had Alano, and they had Joe, and they had just an abundance of players that they picked up from Rubinho being the one that obviously stands out in everyone's mind. But whatever, regardless, they've gone through an era where they've had David Silva, and they've had Sergio Aguero, and they've never been short of top quality players. And Jack Grealish is a top quality player. good on them. It's another one. It's no shock, whatever. What is a bit of a shock, I suppose, is just the flagrancy of it all. Of like, we've just come out of a global pandemic. In fact, have we even come out of it? There still hasn't been a full capacity Premier League match in a year and a half, and City are happy to go and splash the cash and whatever. And I'm sure they'll claw some of it back from player sales in the next couple of weeks or whatever. But it doesn't have a great smell about it, does it? And if it's true that they're going to get Kane as well for like 150, it's suspect. It's suspect, but it is the world we live in. You can sit and cry about it. Please feel free. I'm sure we've all got a tear or two for it. The death of the football that we all really know and love. But it kind of is what it is. In terms of the challenges, Chelsea are one to keep an eye on for me this season. Real eye on them, because I thought they bought last summer to really, they bought for the next 3 or 4 years to make themselves real competitors over 3 to 4 years. I don't think they ended up as European champions, so you can't take that away from them. The fact that they did that so early in the cycle, like Liverpool had that, their first season in the Champions League under Klopp, they got to the final, but they get Real Madrid and they lose. And the fact that they've done that, that's massive. Now, it can go two ways, because, of course, I remember Liverpool winning it in 2005, and although there was a mass euphoria off the back of that, Liverpool certainly weren't ready to be European champions, and they carried that with them, and it was a bit of a millstone around the neck of Liverpool, the players, the manager and stuff for the years to follow when they didn't quite get back up to those sort of heights. I don't think that'll happen to Chelsea. I think the fact that they've added Lukaku means that, and when Chelsea normally don't compete is when they haven't got a 25 to 30 goal a season centre forward, normally, and then they tend to come close and then go and buy it the next season. I think of like Diego Costa is the most recent example of that, where 13-14, the third, they're also Rands, and then they just go out and buy a brilliant centre forward, and that kind of solves a lot of the extra issues, that they've kind of got. So yeah, I think Chelsea will be, I think Chelsea will compete, and I think they maybe would have gone closer in the league if they didn't have Lampard. And it goes back to the manager thing for me. I think right now you have got Chelsea, City and Liverpool and Man United, who have got super squads. Like, they've got squads chock full of world-class footballers, brilliant talent, like that would play for almost any team in the world. And Harry Maguire. Couldn't help himself. He's fine. He's a perfectly fine defender. He's good. The thing where teams can fall down is that what have Man City got and Chelsea got and Liverpool got, the Man United don't have, and that's a really good manager. And that, I think you need to be perfect to win the league. I think the days of Leicester City winning it, when there was a load of turmoil around a bunch of things, and they got the right headwind and they carried through. And to be fair, they had a good experienced manager at the time, and Jamie Vardy flying and all the other bits and pieces. But my point is that I don't think that can happen. So you look at the teams outside of that in particular, might have good managers, but they haven't got enough good players. So like if Tottenham were to lose Harry Kane, yeah, they might have 150 million to go and spend, but they'll be in a similar situation to Chelsea, where last season, where you've got to blood a load of players in, of course, and is the manager quite up to scratch? I don't know. Brendan Rodgers is a very good manager, I think. I'm not sure he's quite at that level, but he could be. And they've got a really good side, but again, there's just a few little elements that don't quite put them on that same bracket. They could well contend for top four, and this might be the year they finally do it. But yeah, there's a lot of barriers to winning the Premier League title this season. Arsenal, no idea who Arsenal are or what they'll do. If the game against Brentford even goes ahead, then you could see Brentford coming away with a win in that one, because of just the nature of the beast, unfortunately. And then Everton. I had a good chat about Everton on that overlap show with Cara. Fascinating. Genuinely fascinating. Love Rafa Benitez, love the bones of him. He divided a lot of Liverpool fans. There were a lot of Liverpool fans in the city, people who I genuinely thought were quite reasonable individuals, who loathed Benitez by the end, thought he was dead lucky, thought he was well beyond his time to go, actually, like Roy Hodgson, which is mad to think. A lot of them probably don't talk about that now. I think Rafa's great. I think he's a bit past his. I think he is past his best. I don't think he's at the European elite anymore. But he is a European Cup winning manager. He's a trophy winning manager, multiple trophy winning manager. I think if he survives the first 3 months, the problem with Rafa at Everton is that he's playing the season with a handicap. It's like, you can do it in betting. You can bet Man City to start on -9 points and get extra odds for them winning the title. That's a bit like Everton. They need to get 18 points from their first 3 games in order to keep him on top. I don't know whether he'll be afforded the opportunity, but he's got class, he's got dignity, he organises a team, and then he adds magic on top of that. So it might be a bit of a grind for Everton, but if they can see signs, and I've been talking to Barry from Toffee TV for years about this, if you can see signs of where you're going, then you've got something to buy into, and Everton might just do that. He might be able to manage that, and that's possible. So if it goes well, it wouldn't shock me seeing Everton get into the Europa League places at the end of the season. If it doesn't, I'd be shocked if they made it to Christmas. That's just the mad dichotomy of Everton Football Club with Rafa at the helm, unfortunately for them. In terms of relegations, I think it's tough to look past. It's always hard to look past the newly promoted sides. Be interesting to see. I don't want to do Norwich down too heavily before Liverpool play them, of course, because it's too close to the kick-off of the new season to do that. In terms of the teams that were already there that might struggle, Newcastle are going to be in a fight for their lives again, because they're just stuck in that limbo between the Premier League, the Championship, and being sold and still being under the ownership of Maych. The sooner he goes, the sooner they can start to put positive plans in place, and they might actually achieve something better. But at the moment, that they might get sucked in. It's going to be interesting to see how many teams are just rubbish. I don't think anyone expected Sheffield United to be as rubbish as they were last year based on the season before. So that's something to keep an eye out for. Southampton are a big one for me. They've Danny Ings has gone, and there's a source of goals. It looks like Vestergaard's going to move on for them as well, who's nominally the best centre-half. Can they hold on to James Ward-Prowse? Have they got enough about them? Are they just going to end up another one of those teams that's got the right attitude and plays football the right way, but hasn't got the players? And are they going to end? I think there's going to be a handful of clubs like that this season, that if they don't have enough goals or enough quality, they might end up struggling to the pragmatic sides again. Maybe not. I hope not. I hope all the ones who play dinosaur ball, Allardyce ball, Pulis ball, all of the teams that do get relegated, I hope good football teams stay up. I know we're judging how Brentford are going to survive. That's a real experiment for everyone, but Leeds are a good example of seeing that if you've got a good ethos, you've got a good style, you've got a team, then you can actually make hay when the sun's shining in the Premier League for you. So that'll be interesting. And then in terms of anyone else who gets sucked in, Palace is a mad one. Patrick Vieira, but they lost half the squad last season, so he's got to, I guess, build a new team, get them all up to speed, get them all into each other and stuff. That's definitely one to keep an eye out for. So look, City will be favourites for the title. I think Liverpool can win the title. Yes, will they? It's just words, isn't it? If you want me to say it, then yeah, I think Liverpool will. I think Liverpool will win the title because I'm optimistic at the moment. Do I think it will be at a canter? No. How will it be achieved? Liverpool are just going to have to win and hope that City don't. I think we're going to go back to, if Liverpool have to win the title, it's going to go back to another 98, 97 point potential thing, because I don't think City are going to go anywhere. I'm just hoping maybe they don't gel, or maybe they've just got the ego balance wrong if they've got Kane and Grealish maybe in there. Fingers crossed. I had this for years with Man United, where you're just looking at ways that it might go wrong, and it's just hope rather than expectation. But Liverpool have proven that it can be done. They've proven at least they can take Man City to the final day. They've done that. They did that the season before, winning the league, whilst also winning the European Cup. So I've got bags of optimism. Champions League wise, everyone's going to look at PSG. Sure, why not? Let's watch PSG and let's hope it all falls flat on their big, fat Parisian faces. Because wouldn't that be hilarious? I can't wait to see the egos of who's the main man, who gets to not run in that front thing. Because you know what, Mbappe's going to get very tired of being the one to doing all Neymar and Messi's running. I'll tell you that for nothing. And then he can come and join Liverpool in 2022, and that'll be great. So yeah, look, PSG want to watch out for. But I think Liverpool. It would take a lot, I think, for Liverpool to not be in contention for the title in the final 10 games of the season and not being around the quarters and semis of the Champions League. And if you can get to there and you're there, then absolutely you're in with the best chance of possibly winning it. Fingers crossed. Hope so. Anyway, yeah. Look, I remain optimistic. I don't get sucked into all the transfer stuff, and I understand how people do. But I look at the squad Liverpool have got, and look, I think there might be some movement yet between now and the end of the transfer window. But if you told me that the window's shut now, I'd be as happy with our squad as any other fan could possibly be about their squad. You looked at the problems that Liverpool's team had last summer. When the team that finished third in the Premier League, that team needed two centre-halves, it needed a DM, it needed a box-to-box all-action midfielder. And you know, we got that. Joe Gomez is back, Virgil van Dijk's back, Fabinho's playing in midfield again, and Jordan Henderson's back to play in midfield, and again, adding Thiago and all that kind of stuff as well. I think we're sound. I think the front three are still there. I don't think we realise quite how good Jota is, because the injury he had last season really knocked him back. But he was on a trajectory to 15 to 20 goals, and he didn't quite get there because of that. If we have a bit of luck, then yeah, I see no reason why Liverpool can't have an amazing season, whether or not they add any more, because there's enough quality and there's enough bodies. There are upgradable players, without a doubt. And I think if we all had our hands on the transfer kitty and we all felt maybe we'd take more of a gamble, maybe I'd say, you know what, I will risk it. I will risk a little bit more Liverpool's money and a little bit of stability in terms of the club. But look, Liverpool will run out, they'll run out there. We can cry about it, we can take to the barricades, or we can continue to hopefully drive positive conversation. Spirit of Shankly getting on the board in and around the meetings of Liverpool, and then we can have representation for fans that way, and we can hopefully steer the debate. It's the best way, rather than ending up in all-out catastrophic civil war and wasting the best years of Jurgen Klopp, Salah, Mané, Firmino, Henderson, Thiago, Virgil van Dijk, etc., etc. Yes. FA Cup, not asked. Not asked. If Liverpool win it, great. It'll show that we've got an amazing squad. I think you've got to write the cups off to City, because they're a cheat code. They're like being 10 seasons into champ manager or footy manager, when you've got all the best players and you don't spend money anymore, so you've got all the money and you literally just press and continue every week with the same team, and it wins and it wins and it wins. And then that's normally the point where you get bored and you start managing an international team or a lower league team at the same time, or you sack it off and you go and do a really hard job because you feel like you're the absolute best. That's where City are at. City should win everything, and if anyone stops City winning anything, then it should be lauded and commended, and Chelsea too, to be fair, because they're on a different plateau. We can criticise the Super League, but the Super League plans were okay, a bit trying to save the old money of football by limiting the new money of football, which is, you know, if you're a fan of an old money football club, as it were, then yeah, that makes sense. If you're a fan of neither, then it all looks like an absolute shitstorm. But you can see that the only people who can stop City and Chelsea and PSG from taking over the game are other football clubs, and hopefully football clubs that are running more sensible, frugal, you know, ends, means, and all that kind of matters. I think Liverpool are that. I quite like that. I want City to buy everyone. I want them to have Kane, and I want them to have Grealish. Got them back. You should have gone and bought Messi. I'd have fucking loved it. You know why? Because the sweetness of managing to topple them, if that was to happen, would be 10 times better than it's ever been. Yeah. Anyway, yeah, fingers crossed for all that. I'll be back with more videos this season. Do go and check out the Gary Neville show, The Overlap. Again, I've seen loads of people talking about it. It's all over the internet. It's really good fun. I wasn't sure what it'd be like, to be honest. I thought it would be a bit dry, but it's funny, and there's some really good debates in there. So yeah, good stuff indeed. But yeah, do drop a like on the video, subscribe. As I go and say, Maych sent you over on that one as well, because it always makes me look good. Yeah, and eventually they give me money, and that's good, right? Right. Yeah, check out Redmen TV as well. I'll be doing a watch along for the Norwich game on the Redmen TV YouTube channel. Other than that, thank you so much. You're all wonderful. Good luck for the season for you. Good luck for the season for me, for Liverpool, for Jurgen, for the boys, and hopefully bring back another wonderful, big, shiny piece of silverware that we can actually celebrate in front of fans. Wouldn't that be great? Oh my God, that would be amazing. Nice one.